Hey guys, it's your favorite real estate investor, Brian Davila, and today I am interviewing one of the biggest wholesalers in the country. His name is Scott Oots. His company brings in around $5 million a year. So far, they've already closed around 156 deals this year. So make sure to watch, and before we start, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I promise you, you're gonna learn a lot, and I'm gonna be interviewing some of the biggest investors, wholesalers, and realtors in the country, and you don't want to miss it. All right, so let's get right to the interview. Hey guys, it's your favorite real estate investor, Brian Davila, and today I'm interviewing the biggest wholesaler in California, Scott Oots. So Scott, do you want to do a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. Excited to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. My team has been doing wholesale real estate in SoCal for about 5 going on 6 years now. So it's been a fun ride. We just did our 156th deal this year, as of yesterday. So our goal is to get to 200 this year, which is definitely during a COVID year. Dang, we're impressed with how we're doing. It's been a fun year, but it's also been a trying year. But we've doubled our revenue every single year for the last 5 years, which has been really exciting. And we're having fun with it. I mean, you've seen our team. We've got a fun team here, fun environment, and we try to have a good time. You know, it's the thing is everyone tries to grow, but they don't remember to have fun while they do it.
Yeah.
And they're focused on growth till 11 o'clock at night, midnight, then back in at 6 in the morning. It's like, we're doing this for a reason, right? We're doing this to have fun as well. We're doing this to live a life outside of a 9 to 5. So my team is a 9 to 5 team. I mean, they'll answer a call in the evening, but I've set my team to have a work-life balance. And that's part of the reason we've kept people and no one's left us in over 2 years. I think it's actually been 3 years now.
Yeah. So I want to ask a little personal question. What kind of gross revenue, does 156 deals look like?
So this year, as of now, I think we're at 3.9, between 3.8 and 3.9 right now. But we've got about 1.2 in the pipeline right now.
Yeah.
Maybe over that, and then that should be closing by the end of December for that. So if everything goes as planned, no round 2 of COVID, everything like that, then I mean we should close this year approaching that 5 million mark, if not a little bit over.
Was that your goal in the beginning of the year, 5 million?
My goal this year was 4.3.
Oh, okay. So it looks like you are going to hit it for sure.
Just like a lot of real estate investors, right? We went into COVID with about 600,000 in the pipeline. And when I say 600,000, I mean assignment fees. So, and by the time we worked our way through COVID, we were still closing deals, but we had at one point that 600,000 went down to about 150,000. And then we started working it back up. Some of those deals just weren't closing. Investors were scared. They're walking away. People were just handing us their EMD.
Yeah.
So then we went out, started reselling, and we did recover that money, the majority of it, but our spreads were smaller than we originally planned on in some of those deals. But then as COVID started kind of, I don't want to say hitting the end, but as the lockdown quarantine kind of started ending, it just shot back up again. And we actually lowered our goals for Q3. And we said, there's no way we're going to hit our goals. And then when that started going back up, we blew them out of the water and we beat what our original goal would have been.
Yeah.
And then Q4, we had our entire Q4 goal in the pipeline in the first 3 weeks of Q4. So it's been a wild ride this year. But let's say we've all learned a lot this year too. I mean, you gotta have money in savings. There's so many business big gurus out there that aren't in business anymore. And they lost everything during this, but they're still coaching, but they're not doing the business anymore. So it's a little bit scary to see how people, but we pushed through, we upgraded our talent during that time. Shoot, we're still hiring now. So
Yeah, and I wanted to actually touch on that too. So Scott actually mentioned before we got on this call that he's actually hiring. So you could reach out to Scott on his Instagram, Scott Oots, on his YouTube channel. I'll link. I'll put all your information on the comments of this video. If it's okay, can I put your email also if somebody wants to reach out to you for a position?
Hiring, our email is careers@sjoinvestments.com. So
Okay.
that goes to the right team that will get it. If you go to me, it's probably going to sit in my inbox for months.
Okay, so I'll leave that email below. So if you're looking to work with somebody or for somebody, Scott is a legit wholesaler. And I think this is going to be one of the best interviews so far because I know a lot of people who are struggling to really grow their wholesale business. I think wholesaling is a little bit more difficult than flipping real estate, in my opinion. So a lot of the questions that I'm getting are from people who are just starting. So, you've done, 156 deals this year. If you're speaking to someone that's trying to do their first deal or they're trying to get to their first 5 deals, what are like 5 tips that you would give them for a beginner wholesaler?
Sure. So number one, I don't want to like age myself here, but
Yeah.
when I started this, even 5, 6 years ago now, we didn't have the free content that's out there now, right? Like
Yeah.
what we're doing right now. You're not charging for this video.
Yeah.
We didn't have this at that time. There was YouTube. I'm not saying I'm 80 years old, right? There was
Yeah.
YouTube, but there just wasn't as many people giving that free content. Most of the content back then was just giving someone just enough to get them into a course.
Yeah.
And you can learn this whole business just from watching YouTube. And
Mhm.
there's a good and a bad to that.
Mhm.
So I guess my first tip I'm going to give you is don't watch so many videos trying to learn that you forget to act.
Mhm.
That is actually one of the biggest things that people come to me and say, hey, I don't know why I'm not getting a deal. And I say, well, what have you done? And the first thing they always say is, I've watched Max's YouTube videos. I've watched yours. I've watched Sean Terry's YouTube videos. I'm like, well, no. What have you done? Well, that's what I've done.
Yeah.
Well, you're not running a business. You're watching TV, right? So
Mhm.
what have you done to take action? And that's what is so important with this. And people get so tied into these videos thinking they have to know every single little thing and you have to have all these check boxes all done before you take your first phone call or before you go out and knock on a door.
Mhm.
No, I always try to stress to people, go knock on doors.
Mhm.
Don't know what you're doing? That's even better. Get
Yeah.
doors slammed in your face and learn how to take a no. Learn how when someone says, no, I'm not interested, you try to spin around one last time
Yeah.
and throw one more sales pitch their way, right? Did you try that or did you just tuck your head between your legs and walk away? And that's the thing is people always want to learn but not do. So get out there, knock on doors, get rejected. I always tell people go to a car lot and offer a ridiculously low amount for a car. Go to like BMW and offer them like $1,000 for a car and watch the car. You're never going to get it. But the thing is, you need to get rejected and you need to see what that feels like. Because if you get rejected, you're going to start learning that you have to learn from rejection to get better.
Mhm.
You're not going to, if you get the car for $10,000, by all means, but most likely it's not going to happen, right? And that's the thing is you need to get rejected to get better.
I want to just throw something in real quick. I remember when I was a realtor, I'm still a realtor, but I don't really, get listings and stuff like that anymore. I used to love going on listing appointments and then the sellers would be like, okay, we're going to think about it. Like that would just put the biggest smile on my face. And I would just be like, okay, well, what are we going to think about?
Exactly.
Like, it was like a game. Like I was just like, oh, this is going to be fun. Or they would stand up and be like, okay, well, we'll call you back. And I would just stay sitting down and I'm like, well, hold on. Let's talk about this. Like, what do you need to call me back about? We're all right here. So
Because, so I said, you're getting kicked out. The seller's giving you that objection.
yeah.
You went and asked them and you dug deeper to try to get to that next point. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So you know it. you know that you've got to try that one more thing to get your foot in that door and to stay there. And that's why when we interview people, our interviews are not normal. Yeah. We try to throw everybody, all the person we're interviewing, we try to literally throw them off topic so many times.
Yeah.
And we try to, our goal, I don't care about your strengths and weaknesses. My goal is to derail you, because that's what the seller's goal is, for you to do at the house. And now when I derail you and you start going, oh my God, did you spend one more time in trying to close the deal? Or did you go, okay, I guess I'm not getting this job?
Yeah.
Right? It's exact same thing in a seller house. If a seller says, I need to think about it, most people will not do what you just said. Most people are going to say, okay, great. Well, give me a call if you want to move forward.
Yeah.
That's what to say, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing you do is, okay, I understand you're not quite sure yet, but what exactly is stopping you? Let's just walk through this.
Yeah.
And you're doing one more thing. And then the thing is, you never tell a seller to call you. You're a professional business. Hey, listen, no, I'm not going to have you call me, because we're professionals here. So I'm going to call you. When's a good time to do that? Tomorrow at noon?
Wow.
Perfect. It's just most people don't go that direction. So if I got to go number 2, I guess kind of leads into it, is consistency. And I'm gonna literally get that word tattooed on myself, because that is one of the, I think, most important words in any business, not just real estate. You have to be consistent in everything within your business. Consistent in your marketing, consistent in your message, consistent in your follow-up. You have to be consistent in the way you train your team, consistent in the way you do transactions. Because all of that kind of stuff, when you build that consistency, you will start seeing results. Now,
but Scott, I'm a new wholesaler, and I've been driving for dollars I did it like 6 times. Like, what is consistency?
So if you set and say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, between the hours of 4 and 6 p.m., I am going to go drive for dollars, and I am going to find 25 houses every single time. Now, when I find those 25 houses, here is what I am going to do to get in touch with the owners of those houses, right? Now, it goes further than that. Now, here's what you did to get in touch with them. Now, when are you going to follow up with them? Do you going to follow up with them in 5 days, 7 days? Don't just do it random. Have a follow-up system for how you follow up with people. I mean, Podio, they have a free version. That no one should be using Excel for anything at this point, right? Get that version of Podio. Don't sign up for the bells and whistles. You don't need it. But what Podio has is the ability to set reminders. So if you're following up with someone, when you're on the phone, you're automatically setting a task in there to remind you to follow up with them again. So consistency leads through all of it. If you're driving for dollars, you're door knocking, it doesn't matter. Just make sure you're consistent. And mail is a perfect example, right? You're sending mail to people. Let's say you're sending out 5,000 postcards a week. Most people hit a list one time and don't hit it again, because the calls they got in were the get me off your list calls, right? And I did a video with Cody on this yesterday, because it is so important with consistency. On that video, I showed why it is so important to be consistent with your mail. And I had all of our returned mail in here on the table, dumped out, showing you guys how much I get. And thing is, if you mail once and stop, it's shown that your first calls you get in off a mailing campaign are people that are just literally sitting there waiting for you to send a postcard so they can call and scream at you. They want to now, but the thing is, get those people off the phone, get them off your list, and move on, because now you're going to start getting your actual leads in. But the thing is, most people don't mail again to get to those actual leads. Right? So everything you do has got to be consistent. Every single thing. And if you start mastering that and you start building consistency with all of those tasks, you're going to start seeing yourself grow. Now, watch YouTube videos, watch things like that, yes, but don't let that stop you from being consistent with what you're doing.
Okay, so, don't watch YouTube videos besides my channel and Scott's channel. Be consistent. What else would you what else would you tell a new wholesaler?
So one of the things that I've preached a lot is, the doubters out there and the
Hmm.
people in your life that say, "What is this? Why are you doing this? You
Hmm.
should be following in the family company doing this. You should have a job with a 401k and a pension and all this stuff. What are you doing, right?"
Hmm.
Most people's minds are set for that 9 to 5 mentality,
Hmm.
working for the man, asking for time off, and literally sitting there just punching a clock every single day. Now,
Yeah.
the hardest thing for someone like that to understand is an entrepreneurial mindset,
Yeah.
right? I don't want that. I don't want to punch a clock. I hate that, right?
Hmm.
Now, I work more hours now than I did at the 9 to 5,
Yeah.
but it's for me.
Yeah.
So
And you're having fun.
you need to separate yourself from the haters and put yourself in front of the people like that have the like mind, right? The
Hmm.
people that want to grow. And I have my meetup in SoCal. Well, I had my meetup in SoCal
Yeah.
prior to COVID, and we're going to go back to that the minute they let us.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's a free meetup. We have we had 1,100 people in there before COVID.
Hmm.
You look at that and say, okay, that's 1,100 people that signed up for a meetup that are interested in real estate investing. So if you're trying to find like-minded people, that's just my meetup. There's probably 100 more meetups in the area that do things with real estate investing.
Hmm.
Those are your individuals. Go have lunch with those people. Go have a drink with those people. Sit and talk, because that's what's going to help you get to that next level, not the people that don't understand what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. So that's that's a big thing, man. People just, families even will drag you down. They
Yeah.
will. And I've seen it so many times. My mom and my brother say, "No, I can't do this. Why am I doing this? You're going to lose everything." I mean, but when you succeed, they're the first ones that go, "Oh, well, I knew this was going to work. I told you this was going to work." And you're like, "Really?"
Yeah. Yeah. Even I love my wife, obviously, but the first time I was trying to buy a flip, she said, why are you going to buy that house? It's ugly. That was the first thing she said. And I'm like, well, that's the point. But yeah, so I agree with you that, the closest people to you sometimes are going to try to stop you or not, push you as much as they should, but you have to like keep going. So what are
Yeah.
like another two things you would give a new wholesaler?
So the next one's quick for me. I mean, when you're watching these gurus, they're all telling you to subscribe to things.
Yeah.
And I literally talk to people that literally have done one deal, made 5 grand, but pay $1,500 a month in subscriptions to stuff because their guru told them it was going to make them rich,
Yeah.
right? Uh, be slow to subscribe. Do your research before following. There's some really good tools out there that actually really do help. But when I started, I didn't have these tools,
Yeah.
right? I signed up for these tools as I started making money, because the more money you make, the more money it gives you to spend on these type of things to help you grow your business to the next level.
Mhm.
Don't go subscribe to, a system that's going to cost you $600 a month when you don't do a deal. It doesn't
Yeah.
make a difference. You don't need it. But make sure that you guys are really paying attention to that, because $100 here, $100 there. Next thing you know, you spend so much money on this stuff, and you're not putting money back into the business to grow. And that's
Mhm.
something really to watch out for, because I think I spend about 3 grand a month in subscriptions right in there
Mhm.
all the time. But there was a point in time where I was making less and I was spending 2 grand a month in subscriptions. And I'm like, wait, what is this? And I went through and canceled half of them. So I'm like, I don't need these things. So it's just something to remember. Careful when you're signing up for stuff. You want to put much money back into the business as possible.
Yeah.
So,
I
and
want to
then
add two things to that real quick. One, subscribe to this channel. Do not listen to Scott. This is free. He's talking about paid subscriptions, but subscribe to this channel and Scott's channel. And two, I actually did that this month, where I was just like looking at my bank statements and I'm like, what is this? What is that? And I go and research them, and they're just like little subscriptions that I seen ads on. I was paying $250 to be a part of a mastermind on Facebook that I completely forgot about. I'm paying $750 the last 3 months for something I didn't even look at. So yeah, you don't have to go buy stuff when you first start, just use free. And what would be the last piece of advice you'd give to a new wholesaler?
And honestly, it's going to be, you got to carve your own path, right?
Yeah.
So if you guys are listening to Brian's YouTube video and he tells you something, you listen to mine and I tell you something, you listen to someone else and they tell you something, don't follow 100% what Brian tells you, because that's what he does. Don't follow 100% what I do, because that's how I do it. Take bits and pieces and you've got to make yourself, right? Mm-hmm. And you will succeed doing it that way. But I've seen a lot of people try just to follow exactly what someone is doing. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, you're trying to be that person and it's not natural, right? Yeah. And this comes from sales, mainly sales, because if you're out there trying to use a script that somebody else used, you're so focused on, did you get the script right? You're not focused on, are you building rapport and are you getting yourself to the deal? Mm-hmm. And that's what I see so many times with people. It's like, well, Brian gave me this script and it's all these questions I've got to ask. And in their mind, they're not paying attention to what a seller's saying because they're going through this script they memorized. Mm-hmm. And if you took a little bit of his, a little bit of mine, a little bit of all these other people, and then you put a little bit of yourself into it as well, mm-hmm. pretty soon you're going to develop your own way to do it and you're going to be successful. Having the exact same approach. There's one person out there that had a sales script that always talks about, sorry for the call out of the blue. And I respect that person like crazy, but let me tell you how many times I have heard that pitch from people. And it's like, you're no different to the seller, right? Because you're literally giving them the exact same pitch. Hey, I'm sorry for the call out of the blue. If I've got the wrong number, I apologize sincerely, but I'm really interested in your house. That approach has just been used so many times. Mm-hmm. And people need to develop their own approach to things. So mm-hmm. that way a seller doesn't go listen to their 10 voice messages. And the first one, hey, I'm sorry for the call out of the blue. Second one, hey, I'm sorry for the call out of the blue. Mm-hmm. Next one, oh, I'm calling out of the blue, something like that. And they're like, mm-hmm. oh my gosh. You need to separate yourself from people. Don't try to be somebody else. Be yourself using training from other people.
Yeah. So I'll add to that one again. I think it was last year. I went to a big event and I came home and I was so excited and I'm like, okay, I need to hire. I need to get junior, follow-ups. I need to hire this person. I need to hire that person. And then at the end of the day, I didn't do anything. Right. And I've done that, a lot of people do that. They go to these different seminars. They say, oh, Scott is sending this, so I need to do this too. They come home, they're excited, and they do nothing, right? But if I would have went and just say, hey, I'm going to find one piece that I could add to my business instead of completely thinking I'm going to change my business, that event would have been more useful, right? Yeah. So now I want to transition to something for more the experienced people. So I have people asking questions like, what's the best way to scale from doing 10 to 15 deals a year to doing 50 to 100? So how did you go from good to great?
So one thing that you've got to do when you're looking at trying to grow the business is you've got to really focus on KPIs. So you get your key performance indicator. So you can just give you an example of it. How much did it cost you to actually get a deal, right? Yeah. How much did it cost you every time your phone rang? How much did it cost, or how many of those phone calls turn into leads? Mm-hmm. You want to make sure you track these kind of things, and you want to make sure you track every different marketing channel you do, because as I was growing, I found out that marketing channels I thought were giving me the best return weren't actually giving me a very good return. Mm-hmm. And you need to make sure you track that. So I have a different call rail number for every different marketing channel. And that is such an easy way to be able to look to see how many calls came in, how many of these became contracts based on that individual marketing channel. So don't grow until you're ready to look at your numbers, because the numbers of a business are so important. When I was talking to one guy once, he said, oh yeah, so I made 30 grand and I did 4 deals. And then I said, okay, great. How much did it cost you to get each deal? And he's like, I have no idea. And I said, okay, so you need to go back and look at this and find out. Mm-hmm. And when he finally came back to me with that number, he was making like $1,000 a deal. And it's not all about a wholesale fee being $80,000, right? What's the point in an $80,000 wholesale fee if it costs you $78,000 to get the deal? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So you have to know your numbers to grow. But when you're ready to get to that point where you know your numbers and you're ready to grow, you need to look and say, okay, how much money did it cost me to get a deal? So if I want to increase my deal flow by 10 more deals,
Mm-hmm.
how much more money do I need to spend?
Mm-hmm.
Or what do I need to do to get better to get my cost per deal down before I actually start spending more money in marketing? And you always want to strive to make yourself better. So if I look and say, at one point, my acquisition costs hit like 10 grand. I'm like, holy crap, this is really high. So we started working it down and got it down to like $2,500.
Wow.
And when we did that, we're like, all right, I didn't need to necessarily increase my marketing. And that's what everyone always thinks. I have to increase my marketing to do more deals. You don't to a certain point. You need to find out how you get better at the deals you're currently doing, how you get better at closing the leads you currently have. Because going from 10 grand to 2,500, I mean, that's basically, I was getting 4 deals at the point I was getting 1 before. So important to look at. Then when you know you've maximized that, now it's time to start looking at increasing your best performing marketing channels. But when you do that, you've also got to consider your phone calls in are going to increase. Your follow-up tasks are going to increase. The amount of appointments you go on are going to increase. So don't expand so fast where you can't keep up with your leads or you're literally setting money on fire. So that's how I grew overall. I mean, a lot of it's trial and error. I mean, let's be honest. There's times where I said, this list looks pretty. Let me throw this one out there and just see what happens. Because sometimes you have to try things. And there's been some lists where I've wasted $50,000 on. I mean, but at that point, it's like, all right, at least, I made money in other marketing channels, and then you cut it off. But as you really get to the point where you're making money and you're ready to grow, you really need to be in a mastermind. You really do. And there's a lot of them out there, but you need to find a mastermind to be around people that are going to help you grow. Some of my best friends to this day are from the first mastermind that I was in. And those are the people I call and say, hey, I'm thinking about trying this. Is this stupid? And they're like, yes, I've already done that. Don't do it. You save yourself a lot of money. And the amount of money I paid to be in masterminds, which has been a lot, I've made that back tenfold by avoiding mistakes or being able to have advice on things. So I truly think that is a very important part in growth. And there's a lot of people that probably disagree with me. But I think being around those people, to me, you can't put a dollar amount to that. It's just way too important. But do not join a mastermind on day one. Do not join a mastermind or spend money on that until you have a business. And by business, I mean you're starting to get consistent deal flow. You're starting to look at potentially saying, man, I might need to hire somebody. Then the mastermind comes. Do not waste the money on that on day one. You need to get your business going first. So.
Yeah. There's a saying, smart people learn from their mistakes and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So you're leveraging other people's experience. Like, hey, should I do this? No. Okay. You probably saved yourself a month or 2 and thousands of dollars. And my life changed when I started having masterminds and talking to other people who they don't even need to do more business than you. That I've learned that, like, just because I'm doing more business than someone, it doesn't mean I can't learn from them. So always, keep that in mind. But I think so far this is one of my favorites, my favorite interviews. I really appreciate you taking the time. Do you have a mastermind still or no?
No, it was a little time consuming. So
yeah,
I can do one eventually. But right now, I mean, there's a few out there that I recommend.
Which ones do you recommend?
Killer one. Sean Terry's got one. But I mean, other than that,
who was the first one? Who was the first one you said?
John Costa.
Oh, John Costa.
Yeah. So he's got Flip Talk podcast, real genuine guy. He's got a mastermind that he's got going. So there's that one, which is actually, I mean, it's really good. And then Sean Terry, I always recommend him because he was my mentor. He's got one that I believe is called Synergy 9.
Okay.
So I think that was delayed due to COVID as well. But Sean Terry's, I mean, he's the guy that I originally learned from. I mean, he was my mentor. He was the guy that got me going in this business. So I'll always recommend anything he puts out just because he is such a genuine person. And I mean, Don is as well. Those are two very good ones. I'm a huge fan of in-person masterminds. And I know that COVID's changed a lot and a lot of things have gone virtual. I miss in-person events. I miss going up on a stage and helping people get to that next level. I love that. Masterminds in general, like going and having a mastermind virtually, I feel like you aren't getting the experience of an actual mastermind. And I guess what I mean by that is the 9 to 5 in the mastermind is great, but it's what happens after 5 p.m. that I feel like I'm learning a lot more, because you sit in a room, you guys are talking about things as a group, but when you get a chance to go to dinner with someone or break off and have a drink with someone one-on-one, and you're learning these things, you're like, wow, I didn't think about this or that or that. And the next thing you know, you're developing friendships, but you're also just learning things that you wouldn't have learned in a room. And I just feel like virtually, you sign off when it's over and you don't get those private things. You don't get to go shake hands and share a drink with someone and do things like that. I mean, of course, COVID, you're not shaking hands, but you know.
Yeah. But all right. Well, I really appreciate you doing this, Scott. I think a lot of the things you said almost everything you said is such spot on advice. So I'm gonna leave all your information below. So if you want to reach out to Scott, all his info will be there. And I appreciate, again, thank you for coming on.
All right, man. Appreciate it.